by your external world. Okay, so there is a port mapping also. Worker node also having their own port. As I told you, the worker node is running with port number 80. So if it is required, you can map the port, that one also. If you have any load balancer or uh, uh, traffic manager or something else, okay, anything, you can make the port mapping. Got it. So basically we are using load balancer before the worker node, and there is a port mapping behind, and pods also have the different port number. So this is the network architecture. Don't think that worker node and pod are running in the same network. All networks are different. There is a port mapping, there is a NATing, there is a bridging. All concepts are running behind. Sorry, audience. Cluster IP address provide internal traffic. Node port provides mapping for the incoming direct traffic. Load balancer has external IP address. Using the load balancer, we can communicate with the uh, applications that we have provisioned inside the pod. Okay. AKS storage. By default, AKS storage is a node based storage like the worker node storage, or else worker node can also use persistent storage, that could be Azure file share or Azure magnetic disk. So those things we can also use. But by default, worker node, the pods are using node based storage, that is a fix for that particular node, come up with the instance size. Security. AKS cluster upgrade orchestration with node cordon and drain. Cordon and drain means yes, Subramania, any idea about cordon and drain?
No, no, yeah.
So upgrade orchestration means that if you upgrade with a code, means, how do I say, like you have a previous image, that image that you have uploaded, that you have downloaded from the Docker image, that time the version was v1 and this time the version is v2. Maybe that image has been updated with a new feature, so now you want to update with your existing node or existing pod. So you can do so. So in that case, the all the existing communication which is running with the node and the pod, all running communication will be end, all will be executed successfully. Then the new updates or new version will be created. Okay, so the existing older version pods will be deleted and new version pod will be again created. But if your old version pod is running with some kind of uh, request, so first that will be completed, then the old pod will be deleted and the new pod will be provisioned with the latest version. So that is cordon and drain. Fully managed, the cluster master is fully managed by the Microsoft in case of Azure, but in case of normal activity, you have to configure the master node by your own. Node's automatic OS security patches are available and everything is managed by Microsoft since it is a Azure based network. Network's private virtual network, you have data Kubernetes secrets for credential and the keys. So data encryption process is also there, that is also managed by Microsoft. Now audience, when you configure the AKS cluster in Azure, okay, the master node automatically created. You don't have to pay anything for the master node. It is create free of cost. But you have to pay or your bill will be generating based on the worker node. Like if you create 500 worker node, you have to pay for the 500 worker node. But you don't have to pay for master image. And when you create the cluster, master image is also provisioned automatically. But in real-time world, your master node, your worker node, your network proxy, everything you have to do manually one by one. But in Azure, that flexibility now we have. We can just create a worker node, master node, and elements of master node automatically created. We don't have to do anything. AKS using not directly using the Active Directory, but AKS using service principal to communicate with the Active Directory and get the authentication and authorization informations. Okay, and that authentication authorization information is using to communicate with the cluster node. And when user is communicating with the application, if you wish, you can apply some security or authentication process for your external user also. Scaling, as I told you, there is a two types of scaling. Either VM means worker node will be scale out or scale in, or instance container instance will be scale out or scale in, based on your choice. If you think that your application needs uh, high availability with very less amount of time because it is running some critical and real-time database, then you don't wait for the worker node based scaling. You should go for the virtual node scaling, means container instance scaling. So automatically application will be replicated, okay, and create different instance of the same application. So choice is yours, that what type of scaling option you want to choose for your application. VM based means worker node based scaling, or virtual node or container instance based scaling. So ACI means Azure Container Instance. So if you go with the container instance based scaling, then that would be very flexible and very less timing process. Automatically, whenever workload is getting higher, scaling threshold is getting crossed, the instances is created, and under the instance, the pod will be created, and you can run your images. So that would be very flexible, I would say, than the normal worker node creation process.
Sujit, what is the recommended in production? Basically, we tried
Worker node.
instance. So yeah, which one is the I mean recommended?
Recommended is worker node. Recommended is worker node.
Which natively Kubernetes does, right?
Yeah, that
This is
Kubernetes does actually.
the feature, yeah.
Yeah, because container instance is something, is a third party integration that you are doing with the Kubernetes cluster. And yeah, that's why Microsoft means in production environment, instead of go with the ACI, we are going with the worker node scaling. Kubelet. Kubelet is an agent, that is true, as I told you, but itself Kubelet is a virtual machine. So when you define the worker node and Kubelet agent has been installed, actually it is creating a virtual machine internally in the cluster. So that Kubelet will communicate with all other uh, Kubelet agent present in the Kubernetes cluster. So, and this Kubelet also can communicate with the instances if you have configured, like I have enabled the virtual node. So that same Kubelet virtual Kubelet can communicate with the virtual node, which is the ACI actually, Azure Kubernetes Azure Container Instance. So before we complete the module, let me go back to the portal, and let me see my deployment has done or not. Yes, my deployment has done. So what I can do, go to resource. Okay. So if I go to node pool, there is a one node has been created with the name of agent pool. Okay, so version is 16.7 like this. There is a scaling option. I cannot go beyond the one because my since the cluster support multiple node pool, you will need to scale your node. Okay, my subscription have some kind of limitation, so I cannot go beyond one. Otherwise, I can mention the size of the nodes for the scaling. Means how many nodes I need to have maximum, like that. There is a networking. You can check your networking. So Azure CNI contain container network interfaces. Azure CNI, that is advanced network, better to say. Okay. Service CIDR 20.0.016, that is the internal service. DNS IP address that I have mentioned there. Docker bridge, separate network, and network policies Azure for bridging. HTTP application routing is enabled. That's okay. Now, audience, our task is to create an application and apply the application to the Kubernetes cluster. How do I do it? For that, we need to go to the Cloud Shell. Now we have to change to CLI mode. Data protection, what is there inside? We have 3 lessons to do. Last lessons, obviously, lab and review queries. Lesson 2, virtual machine backups, and lesson 1 is file and folder backups. Let's see. In file folder backups, we have Azure backups. How we can use backup solutions in Azure, how we can take a backup of our data, maybe present in Azure and present in on-premises. What are the considerations if we take a backup from on-premises? Service recovery vault, implementing on-premises file folder backup solutions. Microsoft Azure Recovery Service Agent, Mars agent, that we are going to discuss in this particular module. Lesson. Azure Backup. Audience, Azure Backup, we can use Azure as a backup environment, okay, as a different site. To configure the backup solutions, Azure have one service that we need to install, that is called Service Recovery Vault, Recovery Service Vault or Service Recovery Vault, anything you can say. So after creating that particular vault, we can upload our backup. Now, backup can be based on Azure or can be based on external. External backup means it is talking about your on-premises backup. For on-premises backup, we have different type of considerations. Like we need to install an agent, and once we install the agent, the server will be registered, and we can successfully take a backup of it, right? So that is called on-premises backup. So and in Azure Backup, we have storage management, multiple storage options. We have unlimited data transfer, data encryption. So those things we can have. Okay. Long-term retention policy. We have different type of retention policy, like 7-day retention policy, month-wise retention, yearly retention policy. So when we go for a backup and we'll take a backup, there we can find the retention policy. We have to make a schedule. We have to make a policy for the backup, and during our schedule time, we have to say that, okay, if I take a backup, how long that particular backup data will be there in the Azure platform. So that retention policy we have to configure according to our needs. Okay. So that we will see soon. So if you go for the Azure based workload backup, you will have a Azure machines, Azure file share, SQL Server backup, and SAP HANA SAP HANA Azure VM backup. So we have only 4 options to take a backup of the workload which is running on Azure. But if we think about the on-prem, then we have many options: file folder, Hyper-V virtual machine, VMware virtual machine, SQL Server machine. So this is all are based on on-premises. Okay. But yes, to do the on-premises workload backup to Azure, we have to prepare our infrastructure. What infrastructure? We need to download the agent, and once we download the agent, we have to install it. Once we install, our server or our machine will be registered to the backup service, and then from that we can upload our backup. We have to make a schedule, we have to make a policy, and then we can upload it according to the schedule. Implementing on-premises file folder backup, as I told you, you have to choose the server operating system, sorry, or workstation, anything. But in production environment, The backup server is always a server operating system, right? So if you have a server operating system or workstation, you can download the agent and then you can configure agent, and after configuring the agent, you have to schedule the backup. Okay. The agent, Mars agent, you can say Microsoft Azure Recovery Service agent. This is the agent that you need to download. Without this agent, your server or workstation is not going to register with the recovery service vault present in Azure, and you cannot start your on-premises backup to the Azure environment. Okay, so you have to download the agent, which is prerequisites, you can say. So before we go for the lesson two, we have to configure the backup solution in Azure. We'll take a backup from the Azure environment, and also we will take a backup from the on-premises. So we have a virtual machine, which is a server operating system. I will consider that virtual machine as my on-premises machine. So I will download the agent to that, configure the agent, and I will schedule the backup. Okay. So this way uh, we can see that how on-premises backup we can schedule that we are going to upload it to the Azure. Okay, so let's see. So in our portal, we have to write a vault. As I told you, to configure the backup in Azure, we have to configure recovery service vault. This is required for backup service. Again, since it is a storage, we have a separate charges for it. Okay. As long as you are storing your data with your retention policy, you have to pay accordingly. Right. So by default, one TCS vault has configured. Let it be. I can add another one. So let me create the resource group, and subscription is Azure Pass. Okay. I'm okay with that. Vault name, provide the vault name, prod vault 1 like this. Now it is checking. Yeah, that's okay. Location is East US. Sounds good. Review and create. So default backup configuration for storage replication type is set to geo redundant. Default security settings for soft delete is enabled after creating the vault. It is highly recommended that you review the vault properties, okay, before you protecting the items. So, so these are the informations is automatically there. You can click on it. So these are the informations. You can go through it. This is the document file, you can say, of Microsoft. Okay. Anyway, now I can go to create. Wait for a while. The vault is going to be created soon. Once it is created, we can do the activities, right? So when it is configuring the vault, what I can do, I can open my virtual machine. Okay, the vault has created. Let me go inside that. So prod vault 1 has created. You can take a backup of the from the Azure or from the external area, like from on-prem. And these are backup items. If you have, after taking the backup, you can find the items here. Okay, backup policies, you can schedule the backup policies, backup infrastructure, you can check. So there is no backup management server available. Okay, so yeah. So nothing is there actually. I didn't configure anything. That we will discuss soon. Okay. So what we can do, we will go for the backup option. What we are going to take a backup, we have to mention Azure Stack. I didn't work with Azure Stack anyway, so I can't say any more about the Azure Stack. On-premises backup or Azure backup you can take. Okay. Uh, yeah. What backup options you have? Virtual machine. If your workload is running on Azure, so we have these four options: virtual machine, SAP HANA, Azure File Share, SQL Server in Azure VM. So these are the options we have that we can take a backup from Azure workload. So let's go with the Azure machine, virtual machine. So there is the default policy. You can see, okay, or else you can go for the new policy. So if you click on the new policy, the policy option will be showing here. So before we put the name of the policy and set any kind of backup plan, let me go down. See, there is the options for retention for weekly backup, retention of monthly backup point, retention of yearly backup point. So you have long term to store your backup. Which one you have to use? Choice is yours. So if you enable this one, so yearly backup option will be available here. Okay, day based, week based. Okay, option is at your side. You can choose anything. Or weekly based, you can create a retention policy. By default, there is a day wise retention policy, like retain instant recovery snapshot for 2 days. So it is a snapshot retention policy that you can see. Schedule backup frequency, daily.
Sujit,
Yeah.
so is there any option for the physical server backup here? You just showing previous window for the virtual machine and some other.
Uh, so you need a backup retention policy for what?
Yeah, no, not retention. Actually, backup for the any on-premise or any physical server.
Okay, physical server, that I'm going to show you. That I'm going to show you.
Okay, okay.
After showing this one, I will go to the physical machine. Definitely, I will show you. So you can make a schedule for day-wise retentions. Okay, for your snapshots, and you can take a backup daily or weekly. Choice is yours. Okay, so daily at 2 a.m. you can change your time according to your own requirement. Let me find out my time zone where it is. Plus 5:30 to minus where is 5:30? Yeah, this one. And then instant restore, retain instant recovery snapshot for 2 days, or you can click. You can make it extend also. Retention range is 180 days up to. You can create a weekly backup point and all those things. So anyway, I will go with the default option so that I'm not going to pay lots of money for the backup since it is a demonstration. So yeah, we can go for the 180 days, the default option. Okay. Anyway, so put the name here, short backup policy. What numeric name? Okay, no problem. Okay, so where could I save it? So new policy I have created. Okay. Frequency daily at 1 p.m. Retention of the snapshot of 3 days. Retention range. Okay. Backup point is every day at this time. Backup virtual machine. Now I'm going to add my virtual machine. So this is that information, so that the process I'm showing, that is based on Azure, and later we will see the on-prem backup process also. So if I have on-prem virtual machine or on-prem physical server, how do I take a backup from that? That we are going to discuss soon. So let's say I choose prod VM3 that I'm going to take a backup present in my Azure environment. Now you can go for the enable backup. Initializing the backup process. Wait for a while. Yeah, deployment is in progress. Let it be. What we can do, we can call our virtual machine. Okay, and from that virtual machine we can schedule our on-premises backup solution. So for that I need to call my virtual machine, and let me check that my virtual machine is really running or not. Go to virtual machine. This is my virtual machine that I have used yesterday. Open it. IP address is this one and status is running, I think. Let me check. So copy this one. This is the load balancer IP address actually. And yeah, okay. Same IP address. Let me connect with that. Yeah, password is password. Okay. Now I will consider this virtual machine as my on-premises machine, and I will configure Mars agent, Microsoft Azure Recovery Service agent here, and schedule on-premises backup solution. Okay. So for that, what I need to do, why my mouse is not opening there? Yes. So I am already in a portal. So open my portal like okay, Vault, prod Vault 1. So click on the backup option. Now your target area is on premises. What you want to take a backup. So when you choose on premise, you will have a file folder backup, Hyper-V virtual machine, VMware, Exchange server, SharePoint. Those options we have. So right now I'm running in virtual machine. So these options are not available with me, right? This is not a hypervisor host machine or physical machine. So I can just choose file and folder backup since this is my physical machine and they have no Hyper-V enabled. Now after choosing this one, you have to click on prepare infrastructure. Once you click on it, there is an option download agent for Windows Server 2000 client, or Windows Server or Windows client. You have to download the agent. Click on it. So agent has installed, or Mars agent has installed. Execute it. So after execution and after completion, it will ask you for to provide the vault credential. So how do I find the vault credential? That we will discuss very soon. Just I'm doing with not require any Windows update just for this time. Installation is running. Wait for a while. Proceed for the registration. So when you click on proceed for the registration, now it is asking me to provide vault credential. How do I get it? Just click on that particular option. I have already downloaded the agent. So now from here you can download the vault credential. So when it is downloaded, what you can do, select this option, make it browse, download. In my case, I have downloaded the credential. Next, enter passphrase, confirm passphrase. You can generate your own passphrase if you wish, and then you can save the passphrase anywhere in your system. So for better security. Uh, this computer documents, finish. Yeah, it's okay, no problem. It is saying that you have chosen a directory which is present in C drive and it is not recommending. So I'm just avoiding it because this is our demonstration. So we are not doing any production related task right now. So any drive we can choose for our activity. Wait for a while. Registration process is going on. Once it is registered, we can proceed for further activity. Okay, no problem. Close it. Passphrase storing in a local area that could be lost if your machine is goes down or something else. Okay, so let it be open. Here it is. So it seems like our old backup portal. If you do remember, in Windows platform we had a backup wizard, right? It looks like the same. There is no difference actually. But yes, the difference is here. It is appearing with the agent. That agent you have done, you have installed and you have configured. Now you have to make a schedule backup if you wish. There is a registered server. You can click it. There is a registered server information. So leave it now. Schedule backup. You can make a schedule for your backup. What you need to take a backup, everything you need to do the schedule. Go to next. Choose your item, anything that you wish to have. It will take long time. So in program files, hmm, let's say this one, boot mgr. Anything that I can share. Okay, let's say this one. Information I'm just accessing. Error due to snap on the upload date. What happened? Snapping is unavailable. Why? Now it is there. backup item, users, public users, documents or downloads do I have? No. What thing I can take a backup? I couldn't find anything in my machine. How it is possible? Users, default, download. Nothing is there. Okay, let's say roaming profile, just for example. Okay, go to the next. Schedule backup every day or every week. Choice is yours. Let's go with the day, and you can say the timing 9:30 from 9:30 a.m. At log following times maximum allowed is the 3 time a day. So one is 7:30 p.m., one is 9:30 a.m., and another one is 5 p.m. Let's say. Like this way it can be scheduled 3-way. Now specify the retention policy for backup copy of file and folder. How long it will be there? Weekly retention policy, daily policy is enable, monthly, yearly also enable, but if you wish you can disable it. And I'll go with the daily retention policy. Next. Transfer over the network or transfer using Microsoft Azure data box size. Data box yesterday we have discussed. Microsoft will send the data using a data box. Transfer using my own disk. You can put everything inside the disk and send it to the Microsoft website. Yesterday we have discussed. So I will use the internet to send it. File and folder confirmation and finish. Done. Close. So just scroll down. You can see there is a schedule time for a particular C drive, whatever the location I have chosen. Every day 9:30 p.m., 7:30 p.m., 7:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. This is your everyday schedule. Any of the time you can start your backup process. You can create a backup now options. That means if you want to start your backup as soon as possible right now, you can do so. So these are the options you have that you can do and configure it. Okay. So this is called on-premises based backup solution. Okay, sir. Who was asking me the query? Who was asking me about that on Office backup? Ashish, Hemanta, Subramania, who?
Yeah, I was asking for the physical server backup.
Uh, you are asking about the on-prem backup, right?
Yeah,
Ashish?
yeah, yeah,
Abhishek, sorry. Okay. Okay. Now this one is okay, right?
yeah.
So this is the on-premises backup solutions that you can start, but you have to download the agent and you have to download the vault credential, which is so much required to register your machine with the Azure. Okay. Now, if I go to the slides,
Yeah, so this is what I'm getting.
okay, open your portal. Open your portal and log in with your global administrator.
One minute. No, that here I have done it. In this window, I'm there.
No, I need a portal actually. I need to disable this extra verification settings. That's why.
Yeah, I'm on portal. Is it not visible?
No, It is not visible.
Okay. 1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah, is it visible now?
Yeah, it is now visible.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so here this user I'm talking about.
Okay, got it. Open that user.
I need to refresh it once.
Hmm. And click on the authentication method in the left hand side. Click on authentication method in left hand side.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
You did, but I can't see this.
It's
Yeah.
screen is coming up. Yeah.
Okay. I think that is the reason. The screen is getting delayed to visible.
Yeah. Sorry.
Authentication method is still loading, huh?
Yes, yes. Mm.
There is nothing has been said. Okay. Uh,
It's loading.
mhm.
One minute. Let me refresh it again. It's taking too long.
Yeah, that is the portal problem actually. Portal is getting delayed.
Hmm. Yeah, it seems the issue is not at my end. Yeah.
Mhm. It's the issue of the portal.
Oh, again it went into loading.
Nitin, sorry. Yeah,
Yes,
Nitin,
yeah,
go to
it's loading.
go to yeah, no problem. Go to Azure Active Directory.
Now maybe I have to switch. 1 minute.
Hmm.
This portal is slow, it seems.
Portal itself is slow.
Hmm. Yeah, here also it's taking time. Here also it's taking time. Hmm. For you also, portal is slow at the moment.
I don't know. Let me check. No, it's
Sorry.
okay for my case. It's okay for my case.
Okay, so maybe Some problem at my end, or no? Yeah, maybe then we will revisit this point later if you want to continue with the topics instead of holding everybody.
Okay, no problem. One thing I can do, Nitin, since your portal is getting give you problem, I can tell you from where you can do this actually. That
Okay,
option.
okay. Yeah, okay, that will help. Okay.
Okay. So
Okay, maybe you can share the screen now. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
wait for a while. Let me make me as presenter. Okay. So if you look into my screen, Nitin.
1 minute. I'm not able to view your screen. Maybe
Okay.
it's.
Okay. Yeah. Now I think it is there.
Now I can. Okay.
So what you have to do, go to Azure Active Directory. One option that you have to do, that is reset password.
Mhm.
If you come here, that particular service you have configured, I think, for that user. Reset password. There is a password reset option available where you have to mention
Okay.
mobile phone authentication something. If
Actually, it
it's the
was
one that,
default. I have not changed anything.
no problem. If it is not here, then go to the users and you can find multi-factor authentication. Just click here, or you can see there on also multi-factor authentication.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, and if you open it, you will find that username and that should be enabled. Wait for a while. See, you can see few user is showing enable like Anil. It is showing
Hmm.
enable. So you just make it disable.
Okay. Okay.
So that option will be go disappear.
Okay. I will try that. Yeah.
Sure,
Thank you. Thank you.
sure, man. So our lesson 2 is regarding virtual machine backup. Now, previously in before lunch, okay, audience, everyone with me. Let me check to everyone. Audience, are you with me?
Yes, Sujit.
Okay, good to go. So before lunch, uh, we were discussing about virtual machine backup. We have done some backup related activities, right? We have taken backup based on Azure VM. We have make a schedule for on-premises backup process. So those things we have done in previous in our discussion. Okay. Now we are going to start with lesson 2, that is virtual machine backups. Let's see what is this. Workload protection needs virtual machine snapshots, VM backups, VM restore, site recovery, and Azure to Azure architecture. What is this? That we will discuss soon. Workload protection needs. Many backup options are available, like Acronix backup, different type of backup option is available. So we are only using recovery service vault. That is, normally we are storing the backup there for our Azure based VM or Azure based resources or on premises. Otherwise, you have many other backup option available. These are the third party backup option that also you can integrate. Okay. So there is one option also, Office 365 cloud backup. So if you are working with Office 365, probably you have done this kind of backup solutions for your Office 365 environment. Okay. Rest of the things are third party that also you can use, and you can experience some kind of different flavor related with the backup. Otherwise, whatever the default, whatever the traditional process of backup Azure have, that also you can use, which is a service recovery vault. Backup is required for disaster recovery area. Like, okay, we have different type of availability option. We have availability zone, we have availability set. We have seen that how Microsoft provide security to our virtual machines, to our resources by applying this availability set or availability zone. But whatever the condition it is, if my region goes down, there is no way to get my data back. Theoretically or hypothetically, if you think that okay, my region, entire region goes down, then how do I get my data back? Because availability zone or availability set is nothing bigger than region, everything inside the region, right? So to provide protection from region wise outage, we are going for a backup. Different service come up with a different type of backup solution. Like the database, maybe SQL server come up with a cross region replication. Virtual machine, we will have a site replication. Okay, and backup is also there. So these are the different activities that we are doing to provide protection to our resource in case of data center or region outage area. Okay, so backup is required no matter what type of availability option you have chosen for your resource. Backup always be there to provide disaster recovery solution. Virtual machine snapshot. Audience, in virtual machine we have two options to take a snapshot. One is a snapshot and second one is image. Best option in case of production environment, image. Why so? Because image, when you take a imaging of a virtual machine, it will take uh, the disk, OS disk information, as well as whatever data disk you have. Audience, just recall our previous discussion that every virtual machine have a two disks, that is always there, and optionally three disks. The last disk is a data disk that user will create as per their requirement. Like if user wants to store some customized data, then user can use this data disk. If you take an image of your virtual machine, then the image will take data disk information also in the image file. But whereas in case of snapshot, in a normal snapshot I'm talking about, not a virtual machine backup snapshot. So in case of normal snapshot, if you take a snapshot of your virtual machine, it will just take a information about your OS disk. So there is only one disk in case of normal snapshot, and there is a multiple disk in case of image. So you can take a snapshot of your VM and you can store it. That is also give you one kind of backup solution. Or you can take an image of your entire virtual machine and you can store it. So if anytime required, you can call it back. So when you take a backup of your virtual machine, your service recovery vault also store a snapshot of your data, so that restoration process would become very faster. Now, to retain your snapshot, there is a different policy which is called retention policy that we have seen, right? So configure restore retention policy for 1 to 5 days or whatever the timing you can set. So taking a snapshot, which is by default nature of the service recovery vault, previously it was not there actually. So it is actually making your restore process more faster. Okay. Implementing backup, create a service recovery vault, define the backup, means schedule you have to do, and then create the backup. Choose the virtual machine, which virtual machine you will take a backup, and then you can start taking your backup. Implementing restoration. Once you have the backup, you can restore your VM also. Okay. So restoration process is also there. So you can have the file recovery, you can have the VM recovery or restore VM. So both options are available. Choice is yours, which one you have to do. File recovery basically we are using for on-premises solution.